So I had a request to go over some rotator cuff strengthening exercises, and just briefly I'm going to cover 3 variations you can do with dumbbells or a cable stack for if you're at regular gym. I'm then going to show 3 variations you can do using bands. I like the bands for rotator cuff work. It just works well. You can have them at home. If you have issues with the rotator cuff, we want to strengthen it in very specific patterns. Once you have, whether pain's gone away or you have gotten some of those issues cleared up, we want to use the rotator cuffs how they're supposed to for stabilizers and to control things. But there are a lot of times where we need to take a step back and kind of go back to the beginning and just strengthen up certain movement patterns. So one of the things we want to do is we want to get an external rotation. So if we're referring to this joint right here, we kind of suck it back into the joint, pull the shoulder into its capsule, and we're going to externally rotate. But doing it like this, if I'm holding a dumbbell right here, gravity's down. It doesn't do anything for the muscles. So we have to get ourselves so that the work can be done against the line of gravity. So we want to tuck the shoulder back into its socket, into what should be a socket, kind of a socket, and then we're going to externally rotate. This is something that you should do slow and controlled. These muscles are not for power and speed necessarily, not with heavy weights anyway. We want to control it, get the strength back, and then we can use them in patterns again, how they're supposed to function as stabilizers and helping to control things. So we go nice and smooth, we're externally rotating, we don't go past that. It's just a smaller range of motion where the muscles control that bone inside the joint. So there's our external rotation. And if we're looking at the same arm, say I'm coming back after an injury or a surgery or something like that, then we also want to do, if the resistance is out there, an internal rotation, so pulling it in. Now this is typically a stronger movement unless, based upon injury, so you can do more weight necessarily when you come inside than you can extending out. That's totally normal. They're not supposed to be exactly the same. It's a different movement. But we want to get into a place where the shoulder can be tucked in and we're pulling in. As you can see, I'm kind of got in an awkward position on the bench. I'm doing the best I can to keep the shoulder in socket, but it is pulled a little bit forward. But we're getting the idea down, and this is why I like the bands a little bit better for these type of movements. So I'm going to show those in a second. Okay, so we're getting this external movement, we're getting, if the resistance is that way, we're getting this internal movement, so these muscles we can get them stronger and get them start healing. But we then want to put them into a pattern. This is what we call, those are internal and external, a face pull. So really, we are going to take and pull back through it. So you can have a cable stack. This is a little high. Mine does not adjust, so that's just the way it is. Pull back a little bit, and I'm going to extend and rotate those handles back. It's a good movement for the rotator cuff muscles. Also, for the rear delts, you can go nice and slow on the way in to really control. You can get to the point where you're doing a pretty heavy weight in relative sense with that exercise as you pull back, but also slow control, building the strength back into those shoulders. Okay, so I also want to look at the same movements from a banded resistance. It's a little bit easier to stay in a good position. So we can do our external rotation. I'm going to tuck the shoulder down, keep it in here. A lot of times you'll see people putting a towel in here to keep the elbow in place, and that works really well. So we're going to hold it in there, and you extend, externally rotate, and you step back just a little bit, externally rotate against the band. So we're just pushing through. The shoulder is in the socket. It's not extended up. You're not trying to pull across the body and around. It's different muscles. It's very strict and controlled to target the rotator cuff. Now I'm just going to face the camera. We're going to do internal rotation. Again, shoulder is pulled into the socket. Elbows tight to the body. Step forward just a tiny bit because you want it behind you a tad, and you're going to rotate inward. We do not want the shoulder to come forward in another weird way in the capsule. It's not the idea. That's a lot of different muscles are trying to get that done. For the rotator cuff, it has to be very small, focused movements in here. Okay. Then you can also do that face pull movement using the band, which I like quite a bit. And pull back and through. We're not allowing the shoulders to creep up high by your ears. They're pulled down where they should be, controlled, and then pull back and through. Those are 3 exercises to help start getting the rotator cuff good function and strength again.